You guys always make songs for sunshine.
Yeah, we try. It's because we live in Denmark. It's so cold and dark all the time.
I was going to say it's very cold in Denmark, isn't it? So yeah,
it's really cold country.
I think most of our tracks, we have kind of a philosophy of the music has to be fun and it has to be uplifting. And sometimes we make deep house, but I think the most times when we get in the studio, we want to make something uplifting and something that's fun to listen to.
We
don't like we're not much fans of the dark stuff, and it can be fun to listen in a club, but I don't think we think it's fun to make.
Yeah, we're definitely succeeding anyway, because it's all very uplifting stuff you're putting out there. Really enjoying it.
Thank you, man.
But what's the scene like out there, guys, for the disco music? Obviously, there's not a lot going on right now, clearly. But what's it like before this? Is it doing quite well?
No, I think in our scene, when it comes to disco, there's not much. There's only I think in the whole Denmark, there's only us and Siggy Funk who makes disco tracks. And I think most of the scene in Denmark is based on techno and the darker stuff. We have a huge techno scene in Denmark, and I think some of the techno scene in Copenhagen is very popular, and it all over the world. There's a specific techno sound that they call the Copenhagen sound. So the scene for our kind of music is not that big. So
thank God for the internet.
Yeah,
exactly.
How's things over there right now with like the coronavirus and all that sort of stuff? Are you guys still on lockdown, or are you able to get in?
We're in total lockdown. So far it's until Monday, but I think it's gonna go until February. So all shops are closed, all schools are closed, everything's closed.
On the plus side, you've got plenty of time to make music.
Yeah, we meet one time a week to make music, so we get a lot of stuff done at the moment.
Excellent.
And actually, when the coronavirus started in March, we didn't know what it was, so we had so much respect for it that we didn't actually meet for 3 months because we had to stay at home and all that. So we didn't meet, so we didn't release that much music in 2020. But it's no problem getting together now. We are not seeing anyone else besides going to work and seeing each other. So
like a producer's bubble.
For me personally, I really miss going to the clubs. I'm right now I'm in a mood where I really need motivation to make music. I feel like it's not the same to just be sitting here in my studio and listening to it. I really need the social,
the big sound system and the feedback from the crowd as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's strange at the same time. It's strange making music and releasing music because we have no idea what is this music, where's it going and what is it used to, because people are playing it and they mixtapes and streams, but that's it. So it's strange releasing music because the music is made for clubs and
It's coming over to Scotland. It's making its way over to Scotland, and you've got 2 Scottish guys on. So there's probably some. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but you got to talk to us through that.
It's better than releasing stuff and no one listens to it because it's strange making club music when there's no clubs.
I think it's very good music for the times right now, though, because people are needing that kind of uplifting stuff to keep them going right now. So the type of music you're putting out there is definitely helping with that, I would say.
And I think because you saw in 2020, I think that there was a major disco revivals and the disco scene got much bigger, I think, than it used to be. So I think you have a point in that.
What were you guys doing throughout 2020 then? You said you didn't really manage to work together as much as you would have liked.
No, I have a family. I have 2 small girls and a girlfriend at home. So we just worked and I spent time with my family. And sometimes we do things separately, and then we write each other and send some stems and but it's way easier. It takes too long to send stuff back and forth, and but I think we made a single or 2 tracks when we weren't together.
Yeah.
But when we're in the studio, we almost make a track a week or in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way easier.
Yeah, definitely. Whose studio are you guys in right now? Whose studio is this?
It's mine.
Yeah.
And I used 2020 to build this house actually.
All right.
Not myself. I that was one of my great what do you call it?
Accomplishments.
Yeah, accomplishments and the bucket list. You know, before I die, I want to build a house.
So you built the full house?
No clubs, no music. Let's build a house.
Okay.
Yeah, when lockdown started, we were at his apartment. It was a single room apartment.
Yeah,
and we used to make music there. Right. And then he built this house, and it's a pretty big house, and he built it with his own bare hands.
Yeah.
So I done my spring cleaning early, and I thought that was quite an achievement, building a house. For
I know.
We really needed a place to play music loud, so now we have it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I know.
We've been producing for 3 or 4 years with headphones and a sub pack, and that was it. Because my neighbors were crazy and there wasn't room in Kim's house, so so this is a big change that we can actually listen and.
Yeah, some of our old tracks are actually made 100% on headphones, so we had no idea how it sounded. And before the coronavirus, I used to DJ at a small club, playing all sorts of house music, and sometimes when I put on our own track and hear it on loudspeakers for the first time, I was like, whoa. And I have to go back to David and say, this bass is too loud. We have to adjust it something, because we have only heard it in our headphones because we couldn't play loud in his old apartment.
Yeah,
so that was kind of strange, but magically the track sounded pretty good.
But also we were sitting with headphones and producing music and be like, doesn't work. You know, all that shit that's over now.
John, I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but do you want to build a house?
I'm busy this weekend, but definitely next weekend.
Just give me a call, guys. I'm going to show you. It's pretty easy.
You need to start a YouTube channel on how to build a house, basically. I think that's the next stage.
How not to produce music and build houses instead.
Yeah. Call it the house that Jack built. That is it, right there. That is it. That's a winner.
I should have been sampling it, actually.
So what's the plans for 2021 then? Are you going to build an extension or something?
Yeah, maybe.
A pool.
No, seriously, what are the plans for 2021? Are you guys going to keep working away in the studio and stuff?
Yeah, we are. I think we are. We had about 8 releases in 2020, and I think our aim is to have at least 1 release a month, and we already pretty close to having that in 2021. We have about 6 or 7 tracks ready to go out already, and we're only in January, so I think we're gonna do it, and probably hopefully gonna hit some bigger labels also. So so yeah, we're working every week.
Yep. I think that's the best way to do it. You just got to lock yourself away with production and just put the hours in, don't you?
Yeah.
Just get stuck right into it. Turn off Facebook, turn off social media, turn off everything else basically, and just make the music.
Yeah, and because you can see in the scene, many of the successful producers, they are very consistent. They put out stuff all the time. So I think based on that philosophy, we have to be consistent. You can't have 3 or 4 months without releases because people will forget you and you won't go anywhere. So when lockdown is over, we hopefully can get some gigs because we're consistent and people know who we are. So that's probably the aim.
Yeah, I miss gigs a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Did I see you've just got a track out with Tropical Disco Records recently as well?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's the Favel Common track. It's it's two Danish words we put together. The word for goodbye and the word for welcome. It's called farvelkommen.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically an edit of a strange old funk track we found. I can't even remember what it was, but probably nobody ever heard it. And right away we thought about tropical disco. So they were the first we sent it to, and Modena wrote us back like in an hour, say, yeah, I want that. So pretty excited because we love the label. I think it's one of the best labels for disco music at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. They're consistently putting out like really great releases all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty glad we signed to them, and hopefully we can get more stuff on their label, because it's doing great. It's almost 4 weeks old and it's still in the new disco top 100. So that's great.
There's just such a variety of sounds that come out of tropical disco records. You just know when you click the next release, it's going to be something quite solid and quite fresh and just unique. Yeah. So I think that's a label definitely to be watching out for the future. So well done, getting on there, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and when we have some things come on a few smaller labels, and we have something on coming on Sleazy Deep. We have more housey tracks also, because we're not that consistent in our sound, because sometimes we make disco tracks and sometimes we make more housey tracks. Yep. So I think we are still spreading maybe too much, but I think we have a lot of housey stuff coming out soon. I think. I can't remember all the tracks.
And I can at all remember them, because it's usually me who starts the first sketch of the track. Right. Then we rename it as we go to the release, and then all of a sudden I can't remember. Then Kim says, is that melody? Okay, yeah, sure.
How did you guys learn music production and writing music then? How did you guys get into it? Were you like separate artists at first that came together, or?
Actually, I've been DJing since 2004 or something, and I did a lot of events in our city. Yeah. And David, he was known for making a lot of disco edits and putting out disco edits under his own name. Yeah. Okay. And one day I had an event in the city, and I needed two guys to play some funk and disco. And I put two guys together and I wrote them, and I wrote David. I didn't know David at that point. I just heard his music. And I wrote him and say, would you come to my event and play some disco and funk stuff? And he said, yeah. So they came and played, and I started talking to David. And I, at that point, became interested in disco myself. And one day we met and made a disco edit, and since that day we have met every week, and that's like 5 or 6 years ago.
I think it's more, actually.
Yeah, maybe. I think it was in 2013. Yeah.
But I remember at that gig I played that "Sock Up My Socket Shouldered Balls."
The South Park track.
South Park.
Sorry, Balls. It's a classic.
Yeah. And all the DJs was looking at me like, what the fuck?
So you make an entrance?
No, but I've been a drummer since I was a kid, actually. And then I always dreamed about being a DJ, but couldn't afford turntables. And so I started DJing as an old man, or 35 or something. Yeah. And then I started playing reggae, and my love is for funk and soul and old obscure hip-hop samples. Yep. And when I was playing as a DJ in the town, when I played those old funk hits, people loved them. But if there came a request or something and I had to play something newer, the drums didn't stand up to the new stuff. Yep. So I started trying to make a bigger kick drum, and I just bought a MacBook, so I used GarageBand.
Oh yeah.
Then I worked at a cafe, and there was a guy coming who produced music in Logic, and I was like annoying him, like, what the fuck is that, and how does it work? And And then he showed me a little bit about Logic, and he is a rock musician, so that was more like recording stuff, and I wanted to sample and use drums, and then I started on a new education, and I had a lot of spare time, so I used all the spare time for learning music production via YouTube, and just really loving it.
Are you still on Logic now, or have you moved on to any other platforms?
Ableton,
okay.
Yeah, but we also use Machine, and I think I can use everything because Logic is so it's so buggy, man. But it's really good to learn because you have to, if there's a compressor, you have to learn how to use it because it's not that good in the presets. So so it's a good background to have, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
David, you're the most productive man I have ever met. Production and house building, you know what I mean? That is like, wow, that's insane.
And if you met me, you'll call me lazy.
Do you sleep like 2 hours a day or something?
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Yeah, between building walls, I think, and making tracks.
I don't have family, and I'm kind of a nerdy guy. When I find something that interests me, I'm going all in.
David, just you were talking about there when you were DJing before. Who were some of your influences then when you were getting into DJing to begin with? You're talking about doing the disco edits. Who are some of your big influences, or for both of you guys really? Who were some of the top influences then?
I can remember when I started DJing. I have a friend who have a big cafe, and she wanted to make disco nights.
Right.
Yeah, and I started playing disco music because it was like funk. So I got I started learning the history about it, and so I wasn't really influenced by anyone. But then when I started making my own edits, there was a guy in Norway, I think that's called Discotheque, who makes brilliant edits, and that led me to DJ Harvey and.
The
French guy. Yeah, the big French guy. Dimitri from Paris. And
yeah.
All those, the old ones, Georgian and Larry Levan and all the old guys.
Yeah. Yes, it's incredible how far you just keep digging, and you just unearth and find so many hidden gems in that style of music, isn't there?
Yeah, and I love it. I love digging. Best thing about music, if I listen to a track and there's a perfect guitar, and I'm who is that guy and what he's made, and so Discord is my friend. Yeah,
definitely. What about yourself? What are some of your influences then? Would you say some of the earlier influences for yourself? Were you more house based?
Yeah, I'm definitely more house based. I've been, as I told you, been DJing since 2004, and I actually started DJing and small cafes, some more electronica stuff, and then I got involved in some events and started playing house, and I've plays house music for like 15 years now. So I don't know what I would call my influence because there are so many. I've been playing so many years. So and I think that's one of the great things about me and David, that we come from separate genres, and sometimes you can hear it in our music because sometimes it's a battle between houseier stuff and more disco stuff. So it gets messed up in some ways, but I think sometimes it works, and we have a lot of battles because we come from different backgrounds.
Yeah, we changed backgrounds, Kim. Yeah. When we started, I would like to make disco, and you would make more housey stuff, and now I want to make sometimes tech house, deep. We want, we have to go more happy.
David, it's your house. It's your house. It's your call.
Definitely.
That's probably quite a good thing though, because it keeps things quite varied for the two of you. So you're always challenging each other as well, and you're always kind of pushing to that next level.
But we always sometimes people say you have to be more genre consistent, and I think I don't know if it's a problem actually, because sometimes we release deep house tracks, and sometimes we make disco tracks, sometimes we make more houseier tracks, but but you know, the big guys, they are consistent in one sound, and we are not that at the moment, because when we opened Ableton, every time we have no idea what we're gonna do, and we just follow whatever happens. And sometimes it's a pretty cool pad, so suddenly we're making deep house. Okay, this is a pretty cool sample. Then suddenly we're making disco. So we're just actually having fun. To be honest,
I think that's the main thing, though. The main thing is that you're having fun and you're enjoying the music that you're putting out there, because that's going to come across to other people as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. But you know, a lot of our producer friends, they are very consistent in one sound, and I think for some it's a big force that they are consistent in one sound, because people know what to expect from them. When you open Track Source and look at an artist, you know, okay, this is that sound. When you open our Track Source, you know, oh, what the fuck is going on now? Now they're making deep house, and now they're making happy disco. Now they're making fucking tech house. What's going on?
Now David's starting a YouTube video on how to build houses. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Get involved in everything. No, I think that creative freedom is good as well, though. I think some of the bigger names probably get trapped in a certain sound as well, I guess, don't they? And it's probably different. They probably think the opposite. They probably want to get out of a sound, but because so many people expect it, it's difficult to get the balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, and it's funny, often when we make tracks, Kim is saying, couldn't we use that bass line from the other track we used, or use the drums? They were sounding good. And I said, yeah, let's try it. And we never reuse the stuff, because it's never good enough for the new track. So
just good at the time.
How did you say you started producing the music together? How did that come about, where you ended up in the studio together making the music?
That was after that event I told you in 2013. I found a track with Yarborough and Peoples, I think it is, Don't Stop the Music.
Yeah.
And I thought the bass line was pretty cool, but the track was slow, and I wanted to house it up so I could play it at my residency. And I wrote David, say, what do you think about this track? Could we do something with that? And we met up for the first time, and we did this edit of this track, making it more housey, making new drums and that. And that was our first production. And I think it's still on our SoundCloud somewhere as a free download. And that was in 2013. And I think a couple of weeks later, I wrote David again, saying, shouldn't we make some more? Because this was pretty great. And maybe we should do some more. And slowly we began to make more original stuff. And we signed our first track in 2014 to a friend of ours called Beat Chuggers. And he had his own label. And we played the new track we just made for him, saying, okay, this sounds pretty cool. And we had no idea what we were doing. This was our first original track. So, and he signed it, and we had Low Stepper remixing it, our first release, remixed by Low Stepper in 2000. That was just before he blew up. And Beatrix asked me, we should release it, but we should have a remix or 2 remixes. Say, who do you want? And at that point, I was really digging Low Stepper's sound and said, write Low Stepper. And Low Stepper said yes, and Low Stepper remixed it. And that was our first original track. Just made a couple of weeks later than the edit. So that's actually how it began. And after that, we were high, because we had our first release. We signed the track. We made a track, and Low Steppers remixed it, and we were totally high. So we just began meeting every week and making more and more tracks. And I think if I look at our catalog now, if we take all the free tracks, all the releases, all the remixes, we've probably made 100 tracks at this point. And that's since 2014. So we're pretty productive.
You guys are definitely busy. Keep yourself busy.
But we also share the load, because I'm not interested in all the selling stuff, all the talking to labels and doing the Me Too and all that kind of stuff is like Kim's preferred working.
Yeah,
and what he likes to do, and I really like to just nerd on the music stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you've got to get the balance between that, because me and John spend a lot of time doing the social media thing together, and before you know it, the weeks just fly by. We're desperate to make music, but we've got so many other things going on that, see, trying to juggle that is, it can become quite difficult, actually.
Yeah, and also you should really do what interests you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every day, every time we have a session and Kim is coming, I have something new, a new plugin or a new something to show him. Yeah. Hey, look, this, could we use it for something, you know?
What's your kind of process with trying to find samples then? Do you try and look through YouTube, or are you looking for do you think to yourself, no, I'm going to try and find a snare here, or do you sit and listen to types of music and see what you can pull from it?
I often use YouTube I listen to a lot of old funk and soul and disco on YouTube, and just spend hours just digging myself in a hole on YouTube. And sometimes, okay, I found a track and it only has 28 views, so nobody knows this track probably. And I start cutting it up and finding interesting pieces. But when it comes to beats and snares, I think David is the one more nerding the beats. I'm more the melodic kind of guy, digging for melodic, and I can't make beats at all. So that's David's part.
Yeah. Definitely.
I listen to some weird internet radio from Holland, Amsterdam, with funk and soul, and that's in my car and in my house in the morning. And
I'm just picturing you building a house, listening to funk and soul right now, like digging out samples as you're building the house.
I'm multi-talented. There was a lot of swearing when I built the house.
Yeah. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
It's incredible how much the internet has just stirred up all this music, though, isn't it? Because it would just been long gone in record collections and things like that. But it's incredible what's actually out there to listen to now.
Yeah.
And also, as I told you, I use the Discord a lot to dig if I hear something like a snare or a guitar or something, and I listen to all the records I can find, and that's mainly YouTube in the first when I first tried to find it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I actually that reminds me, I saw a quote posted on Defected today that I think it's what is he called, Wes, one of the A&Rs of Defected.
Yep.
He wrote, imagine how many people you met because of music.
Yeah.
How many of the people you know, if it hadn't been for music, how few people you would actually know. Because if it wasn't for music, I would never have met David. And most of my friends, they are local DJs here in this town, and almost all my friends are in music. So it's I think that was a great quote, because it really makes you think how much music actually does. And of course, because of the internet, we have so many new connections because of the labels we send to, and the producers and the DJs who write us, oh, we like your music, and you guys, of course. Hadn't it been for the internet, hadn't it been for the music, we wouldn't know as many people as we actually do. We wouldn't have the same connections.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely helped a lot with connecting people together and stuff. That's pretty much what we've been trying to do over the last year throughout the coronavirus, is just try and reach out to people and just find out what's happening in all the different areas and see what all the different scenes are like and things.
Yeah, and
really good idea, guys.
Yeah, and funny stuff is that I don't know if you know the Discoholics Anonymous page. Yeah. We found out that's a Danish guy, Ken. He's Danish guy, and he didn't know we were Danish. He didn't know there were any Danish disco producers.
Probably around the corner.
Except for Siggy Funk, and that way we connect, and we started chatting to him and say, it's great that we have other people listening to the same music here.
That's quite a similar thing we had with the Shaka Loves You guys. The guys with Shaka Loves You, like, we'd kind of heard the name maybe passing, but to realise they were local Scottish guys and we had them on recently, and it's like, wow, how is it taken for a lockdown to use Zoom for us to actually talk to each other? You know what I mean? It's actually opened things up.
We actually had at one point we had our own residency. We had a club night at a local club where we had every 3 months we had one night, and we had some bookings, and I saw I had downloaded some tracks from a guy called Ziggy Funk, and at one point I saw this guy commenting on a post from one of my friends or something, and he wrote in Danish, and I said, what the hell? And I went to his profile and say, oh my God, he's Danish. I didn't even know that. So even though we're in such a small country, I didn't know Ziggy Funk was Danish, and we started chatting to him, and he came to play at our event, and now we're great friends with Ziggy. So, it really connects people.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. It's so far-reaching that you end up connecting with someone on the other side of the world, and you don't know the guy next door who's actually making the same music as you. But yeah, you know someone over in Argentina that's doing the same thing, but there's somebody next door who's doing the exact same thing, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty strange because I've made events for like 10 years or so. So I thought of myself being really great in knowing the Danish scene, but then this guy, he turns out to be Danish, and I didn't even know that. So pretty strange.
So at the other side of all this madness right now, what is your kind of plans for when things start getting back to some kind of normality? You're going to get back out there and DJ again and keep moving forward that way?
I think that is one of our biggest goals. It's not as much because, of course, it's fun to make music and release music, but I think our goal, and we agree on this would be going abroad and playing some gigs. We have never played outside Denmark. I really hope our consistency and our releases would grab some attention in some foreign country.
You're always welcome in Scotland.
Yeah.
The weather's not much better, but you're always welcome here.
You will not need suntan lotion, so you can keep that at home.
Then we build a house, guys.
No, it sounds like you guys have got a lot of good times ahead of you. So what would you say so far then has been your kind of best memories from like working together and doing the DJing and the things you've accomplished so far?
My best memory is a gig we had in a club where, it was a small club and we didn't expect much. And then
it was actually in Aarhus.
That was in Aarhus. Yeah. And then there was a big party that cancelled in the last minute, and the owner of the club said, "Guys, you better be fucking ready because it's gonna melt down." And it was the best gig in many years. It was so funny.
So we were booked for a small club in Aarhus, and we didn't expect. The promoter said, "Okay, it's probably not going to be that great of a night because there's this huge event happening just close by, and everyone in Aarhus would probably go to that event. So we shouldn't expect a big dance floor." Said, "Okay, no problem. We're used to it." So the other event canceled, and suddenly the club we were at was packed, and that didn't matter what we played. People went nuts.
And when we play together, we play, I don't know if you could call it real back-to-back, but I play a track, Kim plays a track. So we really, what do you call it? We test each other or inspire each other. And often I say, Kim, we have played 3 or 4 tracks with a lot of energy. We have to slow down, Can you play I'm going to play a slow down track. And then I just put on the most crazy stuff I have. And he's like, fuck you, man.
Chocolate salty balls.
But that game, it was so amazing, and Kim was playing air synthesizer.
And also we had 3 or 4 nights of our own here in the city where we were allowed to book some names, and the first event we had we booked Dr. Packer. And we had him at our first event, and Greg was such a nice guy. And it was a great night, and the club owner, because it was a house club, but Greg, he came and played regular disco, and the club owner came to us and said, "Okay, this is fucking cool. and okay. Great. And the club was packed, and Greg played awesome, and he was such a nice guy and gave us production tips and all that. So
I think that's
also we had
that wasn't our night.
Okay.
I think it's the memories that come through music as well. See, that you're talking about connections, and it's not everybody likes to chase the goals, but it's the journey that's the fun part. It's those memories, it's those kind of spontaneous memories that are always the best. I find things like, the club's closed. It's when something changes, that usually makes the bigger impact and the better memory, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's just.
It's like you say, some of those nights you're not expecting to be that great, they end up being the ones that are the most memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my most memorable memories is Kim being. You were being. Was it Felix the Howcat who drank you?
Yeah, I had a gig when I played, because before I met David, I played solo and I also played solo after I met David and after we made Kornum and Karma, and I was booked to warm up for Felix the Housecat.
Great, wow!
And oh my God, he just asked. He asked for a bottle of mezcal when he had to play.
Right.
And because he was alone on stage and he didn't want to drink alone, he pulled me up on stage every time, because I had just warmed up before him, and say, you have to drink with me. So he got me drunk in mezcal, and I was
and he was turning down the music and shouting, Kim, we need to drink. Come up here. It was amazing, man.
That was a fun night. Yeah. He was fun but crazy guy.
Bad hangover the next day.
Yeah, really bad hangover next day.
Don't want to keep you guys too much longer, because I know David's got 5 more houses to build tonight. He's got a lot of blueprints to draw and a lot of things to make. We like to talk to the viewers about where they can find out more about your music then, guys. So where can people find out more about your music and find out more about what's coming up in the coming years then?
I think that the main place to go is probably Traxsource, because we spend most of our energy pushing our tracks on Traxsource, and we get a lot of attention from the guys at Traxsource, and they chart our stuff, and that's mainly where our focus is right now, because I think for our genre it's where to go. I think Beatport not that much yet, maybe when another time, but it seems like people buying our kind of music is at Traxsource. And you can find all our releases there, and you can find our edits and freebies on SoundCloud, and go there and you will get posted.
Or just click the links below, guys. Click the links down there. Basically, that'll make it a lot easier.
And I'm writing a script for a great movie where I plan to get Spielberg to instruct it, and Kim should be played by Matthew McConaughey, and me is going to be. I don't know yet if it's Bruce Willis or if it has to be the other guy, the bald guy. I can't remember his name right now. Just kidding, guys.
I can see that Bruce Willis resemblance, actually, David. the Danish Bruce Willis.
Yeah, sounds like a blockbuster. Sounds like a blockbuster in the making.
Brilliant. No, thanks a lot for coming on, chatting, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure connecting with you.
Yeah, the same. Likewise. Really nice.
Yeah, keep up the great work and keep building those houses.
Guys, we'll catch up here again.
Definitely.